Aloha and welcome back to this series of videos for the Stick with the Winners class. I'm Ken B, and my dad and I are providing these videos to give you additional background and details concerning our new title, Stick with the Winners: How to Conduct More Effective 12-Step Recovery Meetings Using Conference-Approved Literature. And now I'd like to turn things over to my dad, Dick B. So Dad, take it away, please.
Hello again, I'm Dick B. This is video 21, and this one is titled A Sample Meeting Format. The following possible format for a single meeting is based on the understanding that you've taken all the necessary steps we've already recommended that will have established by means of an informed group conscience, the group's name, for example, Stick with the Winners group, the name of the meeting, for example, the Stick with the Winners meeting, the location of the meeting, the starting and ending time of the meeting, the secretary of the meeting, the literature that will be used by the secretary of the meeting and that will appear on the literature tables at the meeting. For example, will only AA General Service Conference approved literature be used by the meeting secretary and be displayed on a literature table, or will there be both conference approved and other literature in use and on display? Also the format of the meeting, and then the preamble to be read near the start of each meeting. That preamble should present, among other items, the results of the informed group conscience concerning the display and use of conference approved and other literature, and the method of conducting the group and its meetings. The following points represent a partial format of how one meeting of a Stick with the Winners group might proceed. The secretary introduces himself or herself, states the name of the meeting, and calls the meeting to order. For example, the secretary states, "We'll now begin the meeting." The secretary will have either someone who will conduct a prayer or will himself have a prayer, and the secretary, for example, would state, "I've asked John Doe to now lead us in prayer." John, and then that person will lead the prayer. We suggest a suitable Christian prayer, either one that will be used for all meetings or one framed in accordance with the informed group conscience by the person the secretary selects to give the prayer. The secretary also selects a member to read the preamble to the meeting. The secretary should point out and explain the literature on the secretary's table and on the literature tables. First, the secretary should discuss the conference-approved literature on display and that may be used during the meeting. Second, the secretary should discuss any other literature on display and that may be used during the meeting in accordance with the, quote, informed group conscience, a meeting already held by the group. We again mention the importance of having the notes, namely the minutes, made at the informed group conscience meeting concerning the various aspects of the meeting format, particularly relating to the decision about prayers used in the meeting and whether both conference approved and other literature will be displayed and or otherwise used during meetings. The secretary then invites anyone who is new to the meeting or has less than 30 days clean and sober time to identify themselves by first name only, stating, "This is not to embarrass you, but so that we can get to know you, exchange phone numbers, and offer whatever personal help you may need and request." The secretary, or whoever the secretary selects to lead the main portion of the meeting, then states this: "The topic of this meeting is what the good book," from AA co-founder Dr. Bob said, early AA got its basic ideas of the 12 steps, says about healings by the power of God. The The secretary or an appointed leader of the meeting should invite all meeting attendees to get ready to open their Bibles and read from the portions from which the secretary or appointed leader reads. The secretary or appointed leader should then ask those at the meeting to read along in their own Bibles with the secretary or appointed leader. The leader may also ask those in attendance questions pertaining to the various portions of Scripture read. The secretary may supplement the Scripture and its reading with a video or an audio containing additional information relevant to the sections of Scriptures read. If a video or audio is to be used during the meeting, arrangements for its presentation will have been made, an introduction of it will be made, and the video or audio will be presented. The appropriate segments from the Bible will have been read as stated above. The secretary will then urge all present to visit the literature table, ask questions about the literature, arrange to read or use or acquire it, and discuss it with others after the meeting. Other portions of the meeting format have been and or will be covered in other videos in this series.